Together.
Together, so I can make sure you're going the right way. Because if you turn it the wrong way, then it starts to get into a big tangle.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Celtic Cast On podcast. My name is Kelly and I'm coming to you from the beautiful east coast of Canada. And today we are experiencing a snowstorm. Now this snowstorm has shook up quite a bit of the US as well as us. It's been coming from the west right across to the east, and we are seeing the effects of it today. They were kind of unsure whether we were going to get rain, freezing rain, or snow. But it turns out we got snow, and we've had a bit of ice pellets, I guess. It wouldn't really be rain per se, it was more in pellet-y snow form. I don't know if this is the end of it now, but I guess I was expecting more. I'm kind of disappointed. I was expecting, they were saying that we could possibly lose power. So I've been ready just in case. But it's looking pretty tame out there now, so I'm not sure if this is the end of it or if there's more to come later tonight. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So yes, welcome to episode 21. Like I said, my name is Kelly, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Celtic Cast On. It's been a while since I've podcast, and I just want to catch up with you as kind of a welcome to 2019 and show you what I've been working on, what I finished, and what I have on the needles right now. So let's get stuck in. We'll start off with the FOs. Now let me tell you, I have the FO of all FOs. If you're new here, welcome, hello. And if you've been here for a while, you'll know exactly what this is. I started a cardigan in 2015, just before I went to Rhinebeck. It was my first and only, so far, trip to Rhinebeck. And I started this cardigan a week before Rhinebeck, and I was gonna pump it out, and I was gonna wear this beautiful cable cardigan to Rhinebeck. It didn't happen. I got partway through the body and knew that I wasn't gonna finish it in time. Luckily, I had other sweaters I could wear, but this cardigan has been languishing in my stash and on my needles for that many years. Now, it hasn't been just kind of stuck in one state. I've picked it up and I've knit some more, and then I've picked it up again and I've knit some more. But during that time, I actually lost the pieces that I had of the pattern that I had downloaded. And I think, for some reason, I don't know if I could, anyway, I had to mess around to get it to download again, because it wasn't something that was from Ravelry. I think it was a magazine or something. Anyway, I had to find the download and re-download it. Anyway, I stopped and started this project, and before Christmas, I decided I needed to get it done. And I was pumped to get it done. I was excited, and I said, you know what, I just need to stick with it and get it done, because if I stop now, I probably won't finish it. And I really wanted to, so I stuck with it, and I finished it. So this is the Land Girl cardigan, and it's by Cotton and Cloud. Now this was in the Knitter magazine. I don't know the exact one, I'll try and link it below, but it's also on Ravelry. She has a link to the Knitter, the one that's in the Knitter, and then she has a link to the top-down version that she now sells on Ravelry as well. So there's two different versions, bottom up and top down. Now, where it was a cabled cardigan and an Aran weight, I didn't really see that top down was an advantage for me. I thought that that would kind of make it lose its shape, so I did the bottom up, and I did the sleeves flat, and I seamed them. So this is what it looks like. I don't have it on. I'm in sweats today. It's a snowstorm day. We don't get dressed in snowstorm days. We wear our sweatpants. So this is what you get today. So I will include photos of the modeled shots of this, which are a lot better. But this is the cardigan. It's knit with Debbie Bliss Fez, which is a camel and merino blend. So it's nice, and it's actually got a little bit of a drape to it, which I wasn't sure about with the cables, but it turned out really nice. So I'll show you the back. There we have it. And the fronts have these really cute little pockets. In my opinion, every cardigan deserves pockets. So these were a must for me. The pockets, and I finished it off with these buttons. No, actually these weren't. I was gonna say I've had these buttons since my very first sweater, but they are very similar to this, but they ended up being a tad too big. So I had to go to Fabricville and get a size smaller. But that's the cardigan. I wear it all the time, and I get compliments on it, and people kind of say, "Did you knit that?" Just joking, and I say, yep, I did. They're like, "Really? You really knit it?" I'm like, yeah, I did. So, oh, I can't really see the front. Anyway, the back. That's the money shot right there. It's a gorgeous piece, and I'm so glad that I finished it. And I think it will be something that I'll wear for a very long time. So that's my first FO, not technically of 2019, but of the end of 2018. The next FO that I have is a hat that I knit. Also, if you're joining me for the first time, I have been knitting exclusively from Stash for the last, I'm gonna say almost 2 years now. Yeah, I think it's almost 2 years. So this is a skein that I had of Fleece Artist in the, what was it called? It's called Emily. And it's a merino, really squishy 100% merino base, and it's in the color Straw. This I got from, we have a knitting festival every couple of years here called Knit East, and Fleece Artist does vend there, and they usually bring a ton of yarn that's marked down, etc. So they did this, they had this Emily base for a while, and what they had left of it they brought to the show, and I think I got this for $10 or $12 a skein. So it's hand dyed, it's beautiful, and this is the Mountain Trail hat by Sandra C. I saw this hat and I thought, oh my gosh, it's beautiful, I need to knit it. So I did knit it. This is the pattern. So it's got these little cables here, bigger cable down the middle, and a little cable, and that repeats the whole way around the hat, and it goes right into the brim too, which is kind of neat. So I couldn't decide if I wanted a pom-pom in this or not, so I did it without a pom-pom, which I really like, but I think I may add the option to just put like a button pom-pom in there. I've never had button pom-poms before, but I think on another hat that I want to be working on, I want a button pom-pom for it. So I may try it on this and see what it looks like, but it's super cute. I've got my hair in a ponytail today, so I'm not gonna try it on, but I will include my FO shots here for you to see what it looks like. So that is my second whip. Second FO. What am I working on? Let me jump right into whips. Since we were talking about Sandra C, let's talk about her again. I'm test knitting a pattern for her, and it's a pair of socks, and when I saw it, it was kind of a combination of that simple, yet just a little pop of color work that makes it a perfect sock for me. So I have one sock finished, and I'm about to start the second, but this is her pattern, and it's called Cozy Natural Socks. I believe it's Cozy Natural. She has another pattern that's Comfy Natural. I'm gonna put it down here, Cozy something socks. So yeah, it has a little pop of color work at the toe and a little pop of color work under here, and then the pop for your heel. So I'm using Knit Picks Stroll. Did I write down the colorway of this? oh, I did write down the name of the pattern. It is Cozy Natural Socks. Knit Pick Stroll, and this is Wool Miser. If you've been around for a while, you will have saw the Herbarium shawl that I knit quite a few, I think it was last year. I think it was last winter, so almost a year ago. And one of my followers, viewers, I guess, from Germany sent me a box of goodies, and she sent me this Wool Miser in it, and it's beautiful red, and I knew I had to put it into a shawl. Well, I had a cake of it left. This is the cake that keeps on giving, because by the time I finish these socks, I'm still gonna have a ton left. Look at this. That's a good size skein, and this is a perfect red. I love it so much. So I've got one sock done, and I just started on the second sock. So I've only got the cuff done, but these really fly off the needles. As soon as you're done the color work, you fly through the leg, heel, fly through the foot, and that little bit of color work before the toe. They'll be done in no time. So that's what I'm working on for my socks. So I'm hoping that these will be my first pair of socks for 2019. Now last year, if you followed along with me, I was doing the box of socks. I didn't get, I got my daughter to pick sock yarn from my sock yarn stash, since I'm only using stash, and she put them into brown paper bags and sealed the tops, and every month, or every time I finished a pair of socks, I would pull another pair out and knit from those and find either a pattern or just knit plain socks from them. It was fun, but I think she had a lot of knit picks in there. I do have a lot of knit picks in my stash, but pretty much everyone that I opened was always a skein of self-striping knit picks. So I kind of wanted to change it up. So I don't know that I'm going to continue that this year. I think I have about 4 bags that I didn't open, but I kind of want to be able to pick and choose from my stash for a little while. I may go back to it maybe in the middle of the year or at the start of next year. But I kind of want to pick my socks this year. So I'm hoping this is going to be the first pair that I get finished. And then I have all kinds of ideas of different patterns that I favorited that I want to continue with. So that's my first whip. What's next? So before Christmas, I was knitting on. I started 2 sweaters, and I started them very spontaneously. So in Malcolm, if you guys don't already know, this is Malcolm. He's my Eldenwood Craft bag. He's a drawstring bag, and he is utterly gorgeous. There's his back. Look how wide he is. Isn't he gorgeous? So Malcolm is housing the wrong sweater that I want to show you. Just a second. All right, so the first sweater I want to show you is in this bag. Now I started Bubbly by Isabel Kramer. Let me just give you a little shot of what it looks like finished. If I can find the right page. Here we are. This is what it looks like. Bubbly by Isabel Kramer. Pretty plain, just that little bit of color work. I'm doing this one here, so just the color work at the top. And the ribbing at the bottom and the cuffs is actually brioche, which I've never done before, so that's something new that I'm gonna try. But I cast this on in Briggs & Little Sport. Do I have the tag in here? I do. This is Briggs & Little Sport, and this is incredible value. This is the color Mulberry. It's 113 grams, but there are 430 yards in one skein. And I think it was something, it was like $6. It wasn't expensive. And so 3 of these will give me a whole sweater. So I had this one, Mulberry, and I don't know if I have the other, yes. My contrast color I used was Sheep's Gray. So those 2 different colors, and here's what I've got so far. So, oh, it kind of matches my sweater. So this is what I've got so far. There's the color work. And I'm down to here on one sleeve, and I'm down to the ribbing of the body. So I wanted to wait and do the brioche when I had a minute that I could actually think about what I was doing, because I know it takes some getting used to, and I was going somewhere where I just needed to knit plain stockinette. So I started, oh goodness, I've got stitches off here. 1 second. So I started just the ribbing on the sleeves because I knew I only had to do a decrease here and there. And get these all on. So that's where I am so far. I think I'm really gonna like this. Is it a drop? No. I like this sweater because it's sport weight and it's super light, but it's warm. And I think I'm gonna be able to wear it with a collared shirt underneath. And I think it'd be really cute. So that's what I've got so far. And yeah, let me show you up close. I don't know if you can see, but all Briggs & Little has these gorgeous flecks of color in their yarn. You see that blue? There, that's a better catch of all the flecks in it. I just love it so much. And it smells so sheepy. So that's my first sweater. It's so close to being done. But while I was knitting that one, I couldn't stop thinking about this pattern that I saw that came out by the Fiber Company. And you all know the Fiber Company, they do gorgeous pictures, they have gorgeous yarn, and every time I took out this sweater to knit, all I could think about was this other sweater, and the picture, it was of a girl in wellies, and she had jeans on and her sweater, and she's walking in the dales, and I was like, I need that sweater. So in my stash, I actually had, oh, this is a full skein of Briggs & Little. Check this out. Look how huge that is. 430 yards. Craziness. Okay. I bought a D-Stash sweater quantity from Annie Roden. You may know her, is it Rowden or Roden? I think it's Rowden. She is by Annie Claire. She's a designer. She was destashing this Blacker Classic. Whoops. It's a British wool with 30% blue face luster, and it's a DK weight. And I snapped it up in a hurry. And I think I have 12 skeins of it. And this is a color that I really will tend to go towards. I know it's a good color on me. And I don't know if I have the pattern in here. I do. So this is the sweater that I'm knitting. I didn't give anything away. And it's called Lodore or Lodore, L-O-D-O-R-E. And if you can see, it's got that beautiful cable that goes in a V all the way up over the shoulders. Now the only thing I'm concerned about with this is the body of this sweater is very short. My torso is very long. So I'm not sure how that's going to work right now. If I had thought about it more before I cast on, I would have done the ribbing at the bottom longer and then done the body a bit longer. I'm just concerned that I'm not gonna hit the right points on the shoulder when I get, my cables get up there. But we're gonna see if I can make it work. So let me show you what I've got done so far. This is the body. And I guess I'm just about to start a new skein because that's the end of it. So this is what I've got so far. I don't know if that's in the right spot, but here we go. So this is supposed to go all the way up to your armpits, but if you, I'll try and move so you can see, don't look at my sweatpants. See, that's my belly button's right there. So that's not gonna work. That's, yeah. So I'm gonna have to keep going for a little while longer. I would say right there would be good. So I've got a couple more inches to go before I can split. But I'm loving this. I love the texture of the yarn. I love the color of the yarn. It's beautiful to knit up with, and I would definitely purchase this yarn again. And it makes the cables look really great. So that's my second sweater. I thought I was gonna have this one finished before the purple one, but I don't know, with all that stocking out on the purple one, I might be able to just cruise through it. we'll see. I want to get those socks finished first. What else do I have to show you? So the other thing that I have to show you, where is that hair from my yarn, is a new cast on that I started this morning. It is called the February Morning Hat, and it looks like this. So this hat is by, I think it's Trappings and Trinkets on Etsy. Let me just double check here if her name is on the pattern. Nicole Montgomery. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and I fell in love with this hat as soon as I saw it. I wanted to knit a hat for the, I am so unprepared today, the Warm Heads. I don't know if it's New Year Warm Heads Knit Along. It's with Emma of Eldenwood Craft. I will put the link along here of the hashtag. And so you're supposed to knit a hat in the month of January. So today's the 20th, and so I'm close to the end of the month, but I think I can pop this one out in time. I originally had a different hat I wanted to knit, and then when I went back to the pattern for it, I was like, oh, I don't really know if I want to knit that. And when I was searching for hats, I found the February Morning one, and I fell in love with it. So I am using, this is another stash yarn. It is Lioness Arts. This is a de-stash from a friend's stash. It's an MCN DK, so it's 80 merino, 10 nylon, 10 cashmere. And it's 225 yards, and it's in the colorway Starlings at Sunset. So Lioness Yarns, and this is what it looks like. Again, it matches my sweater. Everything seems to be purpley right now. So it's kind of like a purpley maroon. It's really beautiful. So I started it this morning, and I have complete the ribbing. So not much to show for it yet, but I think it's gonna pump out pretty quickly. The thing that I didn't realize when I bought this pattern is that it actually runs from, she has a table that shows you what size you should knit and what length each size will be, etc., etc. And it actually goes from a newborn right to an adult large. So that's pretty awesome paid for pattern that if you get that many sizes. It goes newborn, 3 to 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, adult, small, medium, and large. Can it get any better than that? So I'm hoping to pump that one out in the next week or so. Actually, I'm hoping to work on it after I finish podcasting because the baby is sleeping and my daughter is playing at a friend's, and I would love to just have some time to knit. So those are my whips. Lots of things to finish, and I would like to it's kind of funny, when we have a storm day, all I want to do is cast on all the things, knit all the things, read all the books. I think I'm going to get everything done in that little time that the storm is. But it's Sunday, and I'm hoping to get at least a little bit of knitting done before we have to get ready for the work week. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about regarding knitting is the Make 9 Along. Now, I joined in on this last year, and I failed miserably at it. And the reason I failed was because we had to show a picture of what we were going to knit. We had to decide on those 9 things right then and there, and that's what we had to complete. I'm not great at doing that because my tastes change, and especially when you're on Ravelry and Instagram, you see all kinds of things that spark your interest and your creativity, and you decide, oh, I'd really like to make that. And so when I have creative time, I find that I just want to make what I want to make and not be zoned into having to knit things that I'm not that fond of anymore. So that's why I failed miserably at it, and I don't even know if I completed one. I think I maybe completed 1 or 2 things from it. So this year Emma made a change, and she's decided that you don't have to specifically say what you're going to make. Just give us an idea. So say you have on one of your squares a pair of socks. You don't have to choose those socks right now, but you just have to knit a pair of socks. So that to me is perfect because I can decide between socks and sweaters, and generally those are the things that I'm going to be knitting anyway, so I can just use one of those squares as one of my Making 9 projects. So the hat, Warm Head KAL, that's exactly what it is. The Warm Hat KAL with Emma, I'm going to be using February Morning as my square number 1 because I've already started it. Otherwise I would just say I was knitting a hat. So that's going to be my first. My second is the Cozy Natural socks that I started. Now these all have to be started since January 1st, so both of these fit in that category. I want to sew a Finch bag, and that Finch bag is by Stitch Mischief. She is on Instagram, and I bought the pattern for her Finch bucket bag quite a while ago, and I've been meaning to sew one up, and this year I'm going to do it, and I may just make even more than one. So I want to have a go at making my own project bags. So that's my number 3. I would like to knit a shawl, and I have some big shawls and I have some little shawls that I think I'd like to knit, so I'm not naming what I'm going to knit right now. I have 5 and 6 will be 2 pairs of socks. I have 2 different patterns. Actually, I have more than 2 different patterns. There are several patterns that I want to knit, so whatever socks I get to, those will be those. I have 2 sweaters on there as squares, and I have another shawl or a cowl. And I think one of my squares for socks was knitting with a sock blank. She wanted you to incorporate something new that you'd never done before into one of those projects. And I have a sock blank that I was gifted last year, and I've been hanging on to it because it's beautiful, and I think this is the year I just need to knit some fun socks out of that sock blank, and that's going to be one of my squares. So that's it. So a hat ends up being 3 pairs of socks, sewing a Finch bag, 2 shawls, and 2 sweaters. That sounds pretty doable to me, and sounds like things that I would be knitting anyway. So we're gonna see how I go with that. So if you do join in with the make along, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're doing, or a link to your Make 9 squares, so I can have a look, and maybe I'll find something on your board that I'd like to knit too. I just forgot, I do have one more finished object I forgot to show you. Let me go grab it. So my other FO that I forgot to show you is a pair of socks, and it's the reason I didn't get my sweaters done before Christmas. I, on a whim, purchased the Cozy Knitters Advent sock skein. It's a skein that came, and it's 24 striper, and so the idea is that you knit 1 stripe per day in the leading up to Christmas. And if you wanted to knit 2 socks at the same time, or get them both finished by Christmas Day, you would knit 2 stripes. Well, we all know that stripes are addictive, and there was no way I could just knit 1 stripe per day. So I only have 1 sock blocker up here, but they are both identical. And the great thing about this skein was she had it wound up. It looked like 1 big skein. When you open it up, it was already separated into 2 perfectly matched skeins. So you could wind them up and just start knitting, and they'd be perfectly paired socks. So this is this year's Advent. Now I paired it with a navy blue, and that's what the sock looks like. I have 2 identical socks. So when I opened the skein, I was kind of taken aback, I guess, because I wasn't quite sure that this, in a skein, it definitely didn't look anything Christmassy to me, and I thought, wonder where she's going with this. But I guess she had a blanket that I think it was her grandmother made, and they always brought it out during Christmas time. So this was a Christmas thing for her, and it was a very multicolored blanket, and these were the colors that were in it. So you can see it starts here, and that starts to repeat here. So all of these colors were in the blanket. It was kind of fun to knit, because as you would get 2 or 3 colors together, I would say, oh, I really like these 3 colors together. And then down here, oh, I really like these 3 colors together. I don't know, I was just expecting a more Christmassy colorway, to be honest. But they're still fun, and they're done. And they are another pair of socks that I got knit for my box of socks this year. I may include in the next podcast, I may show you a recap of the box of socks and the socks that I did get finished, if I can pull that all together. But as of right now, this was my final final pair of socks. They're nice and long too. I like that. I do have a sizable amount of this left as well, so I might be able to throw it in with something else, make another pair of socks maybe. Because I used the different heels, toes, and cuffs too, I saved a lot of yarn there as well. So that's that. What else did I want to talk about? Books, I think. I definitely have been reading. Oh, one other thing. So I got this gift from my friend Heidi. She is Cedar River Knits, and she just recently opened an Etsy shop. And she sells these gorgeous progress keepers and stitch markers. And check this out. I couldn't even open the package. She gave me this before Christmas, and I've had it sitting on my shelf just staring at it because her packaging is just perfect. Isn't that the cutest little house? Cedar River Knits. And from what I believe, I should open it. I believe these are all made out of clay, and then she paints them. She's pretty artsy. Yep, that's pretty hard. Looks like it's got a gloss over it, but it's the cutest little house. How sweet is that? I just love her packaging. So now that I've opened it, I might actually use it. But I just wanted to give her a shout out. She is cedarriverknits.com. She's on Instagram as cedar.river.knits. And I'm pretty sure she has an Etsy. Her Etsy's not on here, but check out cedarriverknits.com. And I'm sure you can find her there. So thank you very much, Heidi. I can't wait to get it into use. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about are the books that I've been reading. I've been reading a lot of books, but I just want to highlight the my favorite two that I've read since the last time we talked. So the first book that I wanted to tell you about was a book that I read through NetGalley. And for those of you that don't know, NetGalley is a website where if you read the book, you get it free in exchange for an honest review on it. So for me, this is a good deal. I kind of found my niche in reading this year. I always knew that I loved to read about people's lives and what they went through in the past, but I didn't even realize that there was a section called historical fiction for that. So once I actually stepped into that little genre of historical fiction, I found so many books that I loved this year. This quite possibly could be my favorite. I know I've mentioned Hidden Among the Stars in past episodes. That one and probably this one are my favorites this year. So the book is The German Midwife, and this is also known as A Woman of War, and I think that's under the title A Woman of War is where I first read it, and then I saw that it came out as The German Midwife. I prefer the title The German Midwife. I think that suits the book a lot better. And the book is by Mandy Robotham. I hope these aren't coming backwards on the screen. I hope maybe I can flip it for you guys. So this is kind of a what-if story. So it's part fiction and part not fiction, and it kind of looks at the story of what if Eva Braun, who was Hitler's mistress, had Hitler's baby. It talks about a girl called Annick. Annick was a prisoner in the concentration camps in World War II, and in those camps she helped deliver many babies. And the things that went on during those deliveries and after those deliveries are really hard to read, and I was very shocked at what had happened. But I'm not going to get into that any farther. I'd like you to read it yourself. But so Annick is then taken out of the concentration camp. She is known as kind of like the midwife that helps deliver all the babies. So she's then plucked out of the concentration camp, and she is told that in exchange for her safety of herself and her family, that she will now be a midwife for, doesn't exactly say who at the beginning, but one of Hitler's top people. and it turns out to be Eva Braun, who was Hitler's mistress. And Aniek follows Eva through before her pregnancy, or during her pregnancy, and then after the birth of the baby. It's an awesome book. You just have to read it. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this. It gives you chills. It was just an awesome read. So get that one for sure. German Midwife, and it's by Mandy Robotham. Or it could be titled in your country as A Woman of War. There's the saying, it looks the same, it's just titled differently. So that's the first one. The other one that I just finished reading, let me pull it up here, is, I just actually finished reading this one a week or two ago. This one's called The Orphan Sisters, and it's by Shirley Dixon. Here is the title, The Orphan Sisters. Now this one, I'm just trying to remember about it because I'm reading a different book right now. This one is two sisters are left at an orphanage by their mother. This is during World War II. And they are there, both of them are there until they're of age, which I think was 15 or 16, when they could, well, they weren't actually could leave, they were kicked out of the orphanage because they could then look after themselves. So because they are sisters and of different ages, the oldest gets to leave first. The youngest has to stay there until she is of age. So Eddie is 4 years old and Dorothy is 8 years old. So there's quite a few years difference between them. So although Eddie is still in the orphanage, Dorothy comes back to visit her, and she starts off working in a house as a servant, and then she finds someone that she falls in love with and brings him to meet Eddie, and then it kind of follows. Dorothy says that Eddie is going to be able to live with them once she gets out, and so it follows Dorothy and Eddie after they get out and during the war, and how they survived the orphanage and what happened to them in their lives after the fact. It's a really sweet read. Again, page turner, I couldn't put it down. It was always, I wonder what's going to happen to her next, or what's going to happen to Dorothy, and just kind of like a look at what living through World War II was like for just everyday people that weren't out battling in war, so the people that were left behind at home. Yeah, I would definitely suggest this one too. The Orphan Sisters. Hang on, I'm trying to pull it up for you again. The Orphan Sisters. The light. You guys, I got, oh, and there we go. So I purchased an iPad. This is my first ever iPad. Here's what happened. During the Christmas break, I always keep my phone in my back pocket, and I went to go to the bathroom, pulled the pants down, and the phone went in the toilet. I've always had a Samsung phone and I love it, but I have a MacBook as a computer, and I kind of wanted an iPad to do reading and stuff on as well. So I switched teams. I went with an Apple phone, and so that everything that I put on my iPad and my phone can talk to each other, etc., etc. The only thing is, it's so annoying. Apple, you're really annoying sometimes. Just before Christmas, actually in the summer, I think it was September, I got a clip-on mic so that I could podcast, plug it into my phone, wear it here, and it's phenomenal sound. Well, guess what? I can't plug it into my Apple because they want you to buy Apple products and there's no port for it, which is really crappy to have to buy the expensive Apple brand stuff. So it's kind of frustrating, but I am hopefully going to figure out something else. I was actually thinking about just splurging and getting an older DSLR that has video capacity that I could just record podcasts on, and that's it. So we'll see how that goes. I might have another look around because I don't want to sell the mic. I have another mic that I used to plug into my MacBook that I don't use anymore because the MacBook's quality wasn't that great either. So there's a lot of things to think about, so I need to see what I can come up with. But if this quality of sound isn't as great as it was in the past, I apologize, and I am working on it. But I think that is all I wanted to show and talk to you about this week. I'm going to turn this off right now, and I'm going to go knit some and maybe read a book at the same time. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of January, and I will see you in February. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of January, and I will talk to you guys again in February. Thanks for joining me. Bye. So here is a little update on our winter storm. So after that rain last night, we got crazy flooding, and then we got some more freezing rain, and we had flash freeze when the temperature dropped from being above 0 to like -14. So basically the whole entire roads everywhere are a sheet of ice. So needless to say, school's closed today. We have a truck with a plow on it, and a tractor, and the tractor is in the ditch somewhere. The guy that was in it is good, but yeah, it's rather crazy. We live very close to the water, and going down hills or anything right now with ice conditions is just life or death. So we're gonna stay home today, and hopefully I'll get some of this scraped off.